David Adams here, the voice of the ring, and the following is a presentation of the Mancast Network podcast for the man in all of us.
Hey guys, it's the Princess of Pro Wrestling, SoCal Val from Fight TV, and you're watching Opinion City on the Mancast Network, and I am a proud Opinion City girl.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Opinion City. I am your host, Ralph Heinmarch. I'm here with my tag team partner, my co-host as always, Sean Russell. Sean, what is going on?
A lot. This is our second guest of the show, which is super exciting. We had Otomoyan on not too long ago. This week we have Larry keeping the peace, referee. Larry, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're both doing good.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you on here. When I was thinking about, who can I get on the podcast? Who can I talk to that just exciting stories and great stuff about the world of wrestling. And I thought, you know what, gotta get my good friend Larry Peace on. Gotta have some interesting conversations. You've been around the horn for a while, and I'm sure you've got some great stories to tell. So we are super excited to have you on the show this week.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys, and don't overhype it yet, okay? Like, saying I got great stories, okay? You're putting pressure on me here.
Oh, you'll
No
be fine,
pressure.
man.
No whammies.
Yeah,
no whammies.
pressure. Yeah.
So,
all right. So go ahead, Sean.
How did you
Kick
get
us off.
into this crazy road of professional wrestling?
All right. Well, it all started back in 1997. Some of your listeners, and I know you guys know who this person is. Don't want to name drop, but I'm going to name drop right away, right? Paul Turner, senior official for AEW. Paul and I grew up together in Lancaster, PA. We went to the same high school, and he asked me, and it was just something that we always wanted to do. And so he found a school called Wrestle Tech, owned by Jim Kettner, and the head trainer there, it was Pat Kenny. Some of you guys would know him better as Simon Diamond in his ECW run.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and it just started in 97, tail end of 97 is when we started training at Wrestle Tech. I'm sorry. Wrestle Tech. I'm sorry. It was Wrestle Tech. And the journey began.
Were you a
But it's
fan?
all Paul Turner's fault, okay? So he got me into this business. So.
It's all Paul Turner's fault? It was all
Yeah,
his
it was
idea?
all Paul Turner. Yes, it was his idea. He didn't want to do it alone. So, but at the same time, we both always just wanted to be refs. We were diehard wrestling fans. We were going to the ECW arena every chance we could get, every time they were at the ECW arena. Yeah, man, we were living, breathing, and finally getting into the business and doing it. So.
Very
That's
cool.
really cool.
Yeah. So then were you a wrestling fan growing up? Was this something that you were really heavily into before you, kind of got pulled into this refereeing stuff by Paul?
Oh, yes, 100%. I started watching wrestling at the age of 5 years old. My grandfather, who's no longer with us, I think he's passed now 8 years, huge influence in my life. And he started this whole thing at the age of 5. So that's
Very
how
cool.
I became a wrestling fan, is because of my grandfather. Yeah.
That's a great connection. I mean, you see a lot of times people that end up getting into the world of professional wrestling. They have such a great family connection to just enjoying wrestling. So who were some of your favorites to watch when you were growing up? Did you have like a favorite, or some guys you really enjoyed watching?
Oh yeah, most definitely. My first favorite that got me hooked onto pro wrestling was George the Animal Steel. It's my earliest notion. I was about 7. I don't know between 5 and 7 who it was, but I just, to my earliest memory, I went to the Hershey Park Arena. That was before the Giant Center. So if anybody's listening to
Wow.
this, what's the Hershey Park Arena, right? I'm old, okay? So 7-year-old me got to see George Yamo Steele up close and personal. And man, he was just, you talk about larger than life back then, and him just being hairy and the green tongue and biting turnbuckles. Like, what the heck is this guy doing? And he was
Yeah, right.
crazy, right? And so that was my first favorite. And then, of course, I was a Hulkamaniac.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on, brother. I don't know. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry. That was horrible. That was
No,
horrible.
that was terrible. That wasn't terrible.
Thank you. Thank you. Being too kind.
Yeah,
But
not
yeah,
too bad there.
and then later on, it was Shawn Michaels. Was a huge Shawn Michaels HBK fan. I love Demolition, if we go the tag team route. So yeah, man, it was just some of my favorites.
That was such a fun time to be a wrestling fan, when you talk about like just seeing crazy, wild characters like George the Animal Steel. And it's great that you bring up Demolition, because I'm a huge Demolition fan too. And they just had such a presence about them. Like, when you're growing up, you don't know that they're like the WWF's take on the Road Warriors. You have no idea, but
Yeah.
you see them come out and they have just that look and the music and I mean, such an incredible thing to like see characters come into life on TV like that. But I definitely feel you on Hulk Hogan. I was a huge Hulkamaniac growing up, and Shawn Michaels was the reason I bought my first pay-per-view, was to see him and Bret Hart in the Iron Man match. So
Oh wow, wow,
What a
that was a
great
really
match,
good
too.
match. That was a really good
Great
match.
match.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
Now, as far as referees go, who would you say was your biggest influence in the wrestling business?
Well, you had to go with the GOAT, Earl Hebner.
Of course.
My first night, the twin referees, Saturday night's main event. That was like, holy cow, it blew my mind. Him and Dave Hebner. And then later on, you got guys like Joey Morella, Mike Chioda, who I get a lot of comparisons to my wrestling style. I don't know how accurate that is. I'm just saying what other people are telling me. And you got Kyoto. I mean, Tommy Young's. And I was a big WWF guy, so I'm going to mention a lot of WWF refs. But like I said, Earl and Dave, obviously. Kyoto is like my top notch. Hopefully, one of these days, I don't want to be a mark or anything, but I do want to meet him. He's on the top of my list of referees to meet. Also, like Brian Hepner. I think he was fantastic. You got Jimmy Corderas, like just so much, right, that have paved the way that I was able and lucky enough to study and try to incorporate everything, from each one of them. And hopefully I've done it okay in the last 26 years, but.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool that, there's a lot of different influences that you pull from there. Mike Chioda is a great guy. I have a friend who
a legend.
Ran some indie territories for a while, and he got to know Mike Chioda personally. So we've talked to him a couple of times, and yeah, he's just a great guy. So you definitely picked someone really good. If you're gonna look like somebody and emulate somebody, you picked a good guy for that. But I think you're doing a great job with just everything you do, and just pulling all those influences together.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And MMA too. A lot of people don't realize, especially refs, if any ref is listening, like facial expressions. I watch MMA too, refs, for facial expressions, how to react to stuff, right? Our job is to make this predetermined match look as real as possible, right? And I don't think a lot of referees know that. And those guys that I mentioned were some of the best at that, right? And it's just being able to draw from all that and try because I really wanted to be, in the Fed, right? I really wanted to be in the WWF.
Sure.
And this wasn't a hobby for me. At 17, that was my goal. Obviously it didn't happen. I don't know. It probably won't, I don't know. Maybe they need a 43-year-old ref at the Performance Center that's still in great shape. So if anybody's listening, hopefully, um, but yeah, man, just drawing from everybody and then respecting those that came before me. Like, Mike Keener was on the Indies, and I remember him coming down to the Wrestle Tech to check us out. And Pat Kenny would always say I resemble Mike Keener. Drove me nuts. Nothing in the wrong way. Just like, what? Really? I've got mistaken for Mike Keener also, which is weird, but but yeah, man. And then just working with him in MLW was nice. And then being able to tell him that he was an inspiration too, from the indie standpoint, so.
Sure.
Did you always want to be a referee, or did you have dreams of being a wrestler first?
Always wanted to be a ref. Wow. Never wanted to wrestle. Yeah. Now I want to
get
wrestle.
In the ring with the best of them.
At 43, I want to wrestle. And, but no, back then, I always wanted to be a ref. Yeah. I know it's probably hard to believe, but I always wanted to be a ref.
I feel like
really
being
cool.
a ref is a totally different side of things that you see wrestling from a different perspective as a referee than being an actual talent,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. And see, for me growing up, the reason why I wanted to be a ref, so I put this in perspective for everybody and not a wrestler, with everybody I looked up to, was back in the day, my day, you knew who the referees' names were. And I think AEW does that a little bit. We know who the referees are. But the WWF, the last couple of years, we just really don't know their names, right? They don't say them. Now, I think they're starting to do it, if I'm correct. But that's I think that helped. And then, put a face, with the name. And it's okay, this is, to me, that was pretty cool as a kid, I don't know. So hopefully I explained that, articulated that fine.
No, I
for
agree.
you guys.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I think that there was, a time in wrestling, like you said, where, but you had these big, really kind of personalities as far as referees go. When you look at Earl Hebner, Tim White, some of these guys that are just, you look at what they've done and some of the matches that they've done, and they're just as iconic as the wrestlers who were in the matches. For a long time, you looked at Hulk Hogan's main event matches, and you never saw anybody but Earl Hebner work a Hulk Hogan main event. So you really got to know who he was. And now it seems like, especially in WWE, you just have guys come and go, and you have no idea who anybody is. You have no idea when people disappear. I feel like they take more of an opportunity to kind of push the referee, sort of in the background. They don't want people to notice the referee as much, but there's so much more that a referee can add to a match. They don't need to necessarily be that person in the background, because really they are, just as much a part of the match as the wrestlers are.
100%. A good ref can make or break a match. And I'm sure your listeners and even you guys probably have seen that, maybe. Getting in the way, not being there, when you need to be there. It's a lot harder doing this reffing thing than everybody thinks,
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think a lot of people really understand necessarily what goes into being a referee. I don't think a lot of people understand what the responsibilities of a referee are in the match. It's not just to watch the match and count the three. There's so much more that a referee does, and a lot of fans maybe don't have a real good understanding of how important that referee is to the match.
100%. Yeah. There's people that say, and promoters over the years say they know the importance, but there's a lot of people who just don't, man. And I'm not like, singling anybody out or anything. It's just, it's tough because when you take this 100% and, this is what you want to do, right? Above anything else. And I like to think that I'm pretty good at it,
Sure.
Want to stay humble as well. But it's just tough when you get that opportunity or noticed too, and so, hey, I just like at one point I was like, I guess I'll just be the Earl Hebner of independence, right? And
That's a great nickname. You should definitely use that.
Or the
that's really good.
or the Mike Chioda of the independents, right?
Or
Either
that.
one, they fit,
either one
right?
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll see about that. I'll give you guys royalties if it takes off. So.
Nice.
Why do you think
go ahead.
that refs don't get as much praise as they used to back in the day? Do you think there's any one reason why they're not noticed as often as, like, say, back in the 80s and 90s?
I don't know. I like back in the day, I remember too, like refs calling telling like calling a fist, like open the fist and stuff like that. Like feels like nowadays, AEW refs call stuff, but I feel like WWF refs over the years, they just don't admonish for that. They're just like secondary. It's almost like ECW was, right? They're just in the corner. You come, make the counts, and that's it, right?
Been there for the last 3.
Yeah, be there for the pinfall. Yeah, and again, that's not me, bashing them or anything. I don't know why it changed, but again, it's like I want to know who the referee is, and there's a couple good ones in both AEW and WWE that I personally like. And I could tell you who they are if you guys like to hear that. But yeah, it's
sure.
like I wish they would mention their names more, because maybe some 5-year-old or 7-year-old, whether it's male or female, is watching and they're like, man, I want to do what, Jessica Carr's doing, right? That's one of my favorites. Chris Sharp is another one.
She's so good.
I'm so glad you brought up Jessica. Yeah.
She's the best. And
she's incredible.
I'm going to get probably, if the wrong people hear this or whatever, I'm going to get heat. But it's like, this is the truth to me. And you guys might agree. But she's the best female ref out there.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying this because, this or that or trying to get a job down there. You guys, me. I'm a straight shooter. I'm honest, 100%. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. But she's the best. And she has transitioned from a pro wrestler over the years into a referee. And that's hard. And I'm really proud of her. So there you go. Gave her a shout out. Chris Sharp is another one in NXT. I can't wait till he gets called up. Really like him. And then, AEW, you got Paul Turner, shout out to him again, and yeah, man. And I think, with them, their crew gets buried a lot because no one abides by rules, right? And just makes them look stupid all the time. But yeah, unfortunately. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to shoot on anything or, be negative. It's just little things as a ref that I notice. It's like, damn.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because, there are a lot of criticisms on referees these days, and I feel like there's a lot of criticism on AEW referees, just in some of the things that we see, whether it's the referees or the camera angles or whatever it is. So obviously you have some connections to people in AEW. You talked about Paul Turner. You've got connections to Bryce Remsburg, who's down there. You guys having spent time in Chikara together. So, I mean, what do you think about these criticisms, and do you think that these are fair criticisms that people bring up?
That's a good question. So can you give me an example if you don't mind?
Okay. So one of the things that they talked about, and this is like heavily discussed among a lot of wrestlers, people that are online doing shows and things. But you see in AEW, for example, in ladder matches, the referees are in the ring holding the ladders for the wrestlers to climb. Now that's just one example, But there's
Mhm.
also been a lot of discussion where, referees are either, not making the appropriate counts when people are outside the ring, or, if somebody is, if somebody gets, a good shot or something, unnecessarily like stopping the match or checking on them. There's some stoppages in WWE and things like that. And, just some criticisms on referees not really paying attention to the rules as they were, not really enforcing them the way they should be. But the ladders is a big glaring one that they really talk about a lot. And you see that in AEW, there was a ladder match with Wardlow, and I mean, you had like 3 or 4 refs get in the ring to hold a ladder for him.
And the Hobbs thing too, right?
Hobbs as well.
And that took forever. I was like, man, I felt bad for him. And it just felt like it took forever. I don't have a problem with refs holding the ladder, but I definitely think they need to shoot that differently. Like, don't have the hard cam,
sure.
you know what I mean, and show it for 3 minutes as he's up there trying, shoot him, right? I think it's all, how they shoot it. And again, I don't want to get on anybody in particular or anything like that. I'm not trying to crap on anything, because that's not what I want to do. I really do, no pun intended, keep the peace, right?
No, of course. That's
you knew I had to get that
name,
in
right?
there once.
Of course.
Sorts of people, if they hear this, will roll their eyes. Right. Trying to build a brand, man. Trying to build a brand and just, live on easy street, right? Like all of us. So yeah, I think it's just the way you shoot that, right? At first I thought like, man, 3 referees in the ring. And then I immediately thought like, why are they shooting it from that angle, right? Like, and you knew the IWC was going to complain.
Of course.
It's just a tough position for them. And also, it wasn't Tony Khan on Busted Open Radio saying that their fans don't care about rules.
I mean,
that's why they don't adhere to it. Right. And
there needs to be some sort of structure in the match. I feel like we didn't mention it as well, but I feel like every time or a lot of times that you see a blade job coming, either the camera angle is wrong or the ref blatantly passes the blade and they don't pan away. It's like you're breaking the illusion here by like blatantly showing them passing the blade to the wrestler to like do the big reveal, and that happens more often than not in AEW than it does in WWE.
I agree. One thing I don't like that they do in AEW, the refs, is they'll glove up before there's any blood too.
Yes.
Like that's my biggest pet
exactly.
peeve, because then it gives away.
Yep, it gives away.
Every fan knows what's going on when they see
exactly.
That.
We're not
100%.
We're not stupid anymore.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I don't want to criticize. I'm not there for one, but from what I do know and a little I do know, and I don't want to go too inside baseball because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But it's like I'm picking stuff that is already out there too, like and anybody has seen it, has seen and has commented on. So but yeah, the glove thing, gloving up before there's blood. I'm like, man. Oh. And I will say, gloves can be hard to put on when you're sweating, right? But again, I think I'll struggle with the gloves and not give anything away when I just gloving up too early. That's one of my pet peeves. So
it was interesting that you brought up Busted Open Radio, because that's one of the places where like Bully Ray has been very critical of referees, but I love the fact that they sort of went tongue-in-cheek with it, where he was really busting the referees hard for holding the ladders for people. And then when he had his ladder match in Impact with Tommy Dreamer, and he tried to get the referees to hold the ladder for him, and no referee would help him.
Yep.
I love when they do stuff like that.
Try to spin it.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but that's funny. Now I'll have to go search that out.
Yeah, good stuff.
You used to work with Hikaru a lot, and at one point you stopped working for them. Was there any specific reason why you stopped working for them? And how have you come to be training for the Wrestle Factory?
So it was just personal reasons. It wasn't anything like Mike did or anything like that. Everybody was great there. I just want to get that out right now. Mike has always treated me great, better than any promoter that I've ever worked for.
Wow.
He's paid me what I've asked and has never asked me to take a pay cut. You know, even now doing stuff with him now and student shows and stuff like that, like what's your booking fee? And he's like, okay. You know, and it's like, and he's always been there. He's checked on my mental health. I came back to Shakara in 2015 and left in 2017. So I was there for 2 years. In 2015, I was going through a divorce. And you know, just a lot of things going on. You know, just a bad time. I was homeless for a little bit, and then I bounced back. You know, it's crazy to think we're 2015 and where I'm at now. A lot had to happen. And I gotta say, everybody was great. Like, you know, I don't know if I get in trouble for saying this, but like Hollow Wicket had reached out to me too. Like, you know, and it's just, I say this, it's because that's the things that you appreciate, right? And you don't know who really cares for you, who doesn't. I don't have a lot of friends in this industry that will check up on me, or I can call, and it's not that I want anything or a job in WWE or AEW. It's, you know, just to talk and how's life, you know, how are the kids, right? How are you doing mentally? I think it's important in this industry that you have, you know, if you're lucky to have a very few, or if you're lucky to have more, that's great. But yeah, no, nothing happened. It was all me. I was just cutting back. And so fast forward, I was training up in Copley, and the warehouse is owned by Egger Excel, Egger Excellence. I don't want to say his real name because, you know, and so the former owner of Excellence Pro, and he just gave me the opportunity to do a ref seminar. And I was like, sure. I'm like, who's gonna, all the things go through your head. Like, can I do this? What am I going to teach? Right? Will anybody show up? Right? And I did it. And, you know, I'm not, you know, ashamed to say 2 people showed up, right? 2 refs showed up. They learned something that day. It just wasn't story time with me. We were actually doing stuff in the ring. They did practice matches. I critiqued. Both of them, Steven still is training at the Wrestle Factory. The other ref trains somewhere else, and didn't want to move over, and that's perfectly fine. But she has my contact info, and I'm there anytime to lend any advice if she needs it. So yeah, just fast forward, Mike takes over. You know, needed a new place, you know, new building. And then he just contacted me and said, "Hey, you want to do your ref class, you know, under the Wrestle Factory, you know, umbrella?" And I was like, "Sure." And then it's just been growing. I don't know if you guys see my pictures I post, but it started out with 2, and then, you know, every week it's just, you know, I think our biggest class was 12 people that showed up, and just continues to grow. And yeah, man, it started like from nothing. Wasn't 100% confident in myself. And then I got in there and I was like, man, this is awesome. Teaching is awesome. It's always something I wanted to do. Pat Kenny talked about that. That was my trainer, and said, when you're leaving this industry, you're getting ready to go out and try to train the next crop of refs. Right. And, it just kind of stuck with me. And then, like I said, I just mentioned his name, Egger XL.
It's okay.
We'll bleep out, right? We'll bleep his name out.
Sure.
Egger XL. You know, we were just talking on the phone one day too, and he was just, and I was just like going on this whole rant, like, this is what I'm going to teach. And he's like, there's 20 minutes right there. And he just gave me the confidence, like, that I needed, you know. And of course I reached out to Paul and I was like, what am I going to teach? And then it just all came to me, and I wrote a bunch of stuff down, got to the seminar, and then it just turned into a class. And then like I said, Mike took over, Wrestle Factory took over. It came under their brand, that umbrella, and I think it's been successful so far. So
Yeah, that's really cool. Just a couple things that you had mentioned there.
mm,
You talked about Mike a little bit, and you know, for every story that you may hear from somebody about Mike, maybe not doing what they wanted him to do, or paying what they thought they should be paid. There's 100 stories out there about how amazing he is, and
mm,
I've had some opportunity to talk to some people in the know at Chikara, and the people that know him just say such amazing things about him. So it's good to hear that he always took care of you, and was a great promoter to you, a good friend to you. It's really good to hear that kind of stuff in the wrestling business. Sean and I are both big Chikara fans.
Yeah.
It's it's really kind of how we met, and
Yeah.
Chikara holds a really a special place in my heart. So unfortunately, for guests that come on this show, we talk a lot about Chikara.
Yeah, it's kind of been like the focal point of the shows because, again, like Ralph said, me and him kind of met through Chikara, and I've met Mike on when I went to King of Trios, and he's just seems like such a genuine, nice dude, and
mm.
yeah, it's nice to see that there's some friendships that are made out there because, like you said earlier, Larry, that you don't often make friends in the wrestling business, so it's nice to hear that you do in the form of Mike.
Yeah, and I know people are gonna listen to this and I'm 100%. I'm a straight shooter, and Mike has never done anything to me. He gave me opportunity and brought me in to Shikara, and I'll always be appreciative of that. And the fans just took to me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah.
2015 King of Trios. I always wanted to do a King of Trios tournament, and then coming out there to almost 1,000 people, chanting "Keep the peace." Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's gotta be a good feeling.
It blew me away. 17-year-old me was like, wow, this is freaking awesome. This is my WrestleMania. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
And then, that first trios working with the Young Bucks and AJ in the finals,
Yeah.
against Phoenix, Ray Phoenix and Drago, and I don't want to get the last guy's name messed up, Aerostar. And
Oh
the
yeah,
Lucha guys, we weren't allowed to call them Lucha Underground because Lucha Underground didn't want to play ball.
of course.
So they called them Team AAA or whatever. And man, that match was crazy. So one of my favorite matches to ref by far. And just what the fans, man, like I said, in Shikara were amazing to me. And I don't know if I deserved it. But yeah, I miss that place so much. Miss King of Trios and reffing King of Trios, and yeah, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, it's very sad just thinking about what it really was, and I don't think people
Yeah.
at the time realized what they had there, because from a fan's standpoint, it was just a family atmosphere. You
It was just
went
fun.
there and you hung out with your friends, and a lot of them were the wrestlers, and you felt like you were all a part of something really special there. And I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, you deserved every chant you got at King of Trios, because I will
Yeah.
say this about you as a wrestler or as a referee in Chikara. You had a lot of different referees in Chikara. You had a lot of different referee styles, but for me, you were always the person that got in that ring and made it feel very real. You were when you got in there, you were the authority figure in that ring, one way or the other, and it showed. It showed in your matches. It showed in your refereeing style. But I think people really took to that too, not only because you were such a real person in the ring, but you were a real person outside the ring too. I mean, some of the conversations that we've had over the years, just being able to have conversations about not only the product and what's going on, but just life in general. You and I have had many conversations over the years about our faith and different aspects of who we are, and that is something that connects with fans, whether you think about it or not. It sort of puts you in a different light from some of maybe the other people that were not as open or as connecting with people. So there was a lot of that there, I think, that really sort of connected you to fans in a different way.
I agree, and I loved when the fans would chant rules because they looked at me as the rules ref,
Yeah,
right?
you're the
In this
rules rep. Yeah.
crazy, chaotic, wrestling promotion, right? Where you have ants and man, like, Hollow Wicked's crew and, just this, crazy, crazy circus-like promotion, right? And then you have me in there who's trying to keep the rules and abide by the rules. I
Yep.
personally think it worked great. I didn't know how it was going to go because I'm nothing against anybody or anything, but I couldn't ref like Bryce refed, right? And he did an
Yeah.
amazing job there. Like I couldn't ref like that. I had to be the straight laced, keep the rules, yelling at people,
Yeah.
keep it, like I had to be because that's me. But
Yep.
and Bryce and I think we just worked so good together. I love Bryce, and I'm not just saying that. Got to catch up with him at JB's toy show a few like maybe 2 months ago. I'm bad with time, so and all that, but it was just great, and we got to reconnect. And but yeah, it just that time there was great, and I was the rules ref and keeping the peace. Mania took off,
Sure.
Yeah, it was fun times.
Would you say that King of Trios was your biggest match you've had the opportunity to referee for, or was there one that topped that?
Well, I came up with Jim Kettner, the former owner of the East Coast Wrestling Association, the original owner of the ECWA, and he had the Super 8 tournament. Some of your listeners may know that.
Okay.
You guys may know that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the names that came through there, like Brian Danielson, Low Key, Christopher Daniels, just to name a few. Bobby Roode was in 1 year. AJ Styles. So
who's who of indie wrestling.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The who's who right there.
Right. It was like the precursor for Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like Ring of Honor was based off the Super 8 tournament. And whether a lot of people agree with that or not, that's just my opinion. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm glad Ring of Honor was created. Still going. I prefer the old Ring of Honor to now, but that's just me. But yeah, it just it's up there. It really is. That main event I wouldn't have even had if Bryce didn't have a prior obligation. And it was just cool that they entrusted me with that, right? Yeah. And so yeah, he had a prior obligation, and I got thrusted in there, and I just remember afterwards I was just so, gassed. And it was just a long show. And I come back, and Mike just gives me that look, and he says thank you. And it was just a really good moment that I don't even think I ever told him this. And so yeah, it was just like, yeah, you belong here, right? That was the look and the thank you I got. And I thought I did a good job. I think everybody else in the match was phenomenal. No pun intended to AJ's name there. But yeah, one of the things that I remember, I don't know if you remember this. Did you guys see that match?
Which match?
The King of Trios final?
Yeah.
2015? Okay. So do you guys remember, or am I just imagining this? But before, it was one of the Young Bucks. I get them mixed up. And it was one of the Young Bucks, and I think it was Phoenix. Ray Phoenix was about to lock up. And before they did, a Keep the Peace chant broke out.
Yeah.
And AJ Styles looks at me, and I look at him and say, yeah, I'm sort of a big deal here. And then I tell the two guys in the ring to wrestle. And I don't know if that came across on the live feed or anything back then, but I never heard anything about it. But it's just kind of cool because he's like looking around like, what the hell? And I said,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty big deal here. Let's wrestle. And those guys, I never realized how fast Ray Phoenix was until he hit the ropes, and I had to take a step back into the corner a little bit further.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, he's like the real life Flash, man. He really is.
Was that the same match that Styles claimed that the ropes were slick because he slipped off of the ropes trying to do a phenomenal forearm?
Yes, the stupid lucha ropes. The lucha ropes.
Stupid lucha ropes.
If I remember correctly, didn't he try to hit that and he slipped?
Yep, he
and
slipped.
then later on in the match, he tried to hit it again and he hit it and the place went bananas.
Yeah.
I think that happened in the match or so prior. I think it was in a
you're right.
previous match.
The slip
and
was.
Then, yes, and then
Then that finals match was where
the
he
finals,
hit it.
he hits it and the crowd just erupted. It was like, oh my gosh,
because he
they're
kept
popping
messing up
off.
and he kept saying how the lucha ropes were all messed up. They were too slick.
Yeah.
They were too slick.
Yeah, he called them the stupid lucha ropes.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
My memory's not that good, but I remember that, and I just I try not popping in the middle of the ring and laughing at that, because I just thought that was funny. I was like, oh, that was pretty good. That was good. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to go back and check for that moment between you and AJ Styles during the "Keeping the Peace" chant.
Yeah, he just looked at me, and I was like, I'm sort of a big deal. And I told Phoenix and one of the Bucks, I said, let's wrestle, and they were off, and we were gone after that.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool moment.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
You also had mentioned about asking us if we had seen some of your pictures from the refereeing class, and this is something that I feel like we really kind of are probably going to end up asking every person that comes on here that's been in Chikara, and it kind of relates to something, because I saw somebody that I recognized in one of your pictures, and I was like, wow, that's super cool. But it made me think: is there anybody besides like Quack? Is there anybody that you really kind of keep in touch with from the Chikara days?
Yes. Oleg the Usurper, Josh.
I love him.
I guess I could say his real name, his shoot name with that. He comes out just about every Wednesday and has been there since I started, even with my seminar. And we had a moment tonight after the pro wrestling workout, and I just told him how I feel about him. And, yeah, man, he has been such a big help with my class on Wednesday nights. And he's just a great guy, and he's so good. He's so underrated. His facial expressions, I think, are top notch. I told him he needs to teach a class on facial expressions.
Oh, he has the best.
He is awesome at that. Yeah.
He knows how to sell pretty much anything out there.
Yes.
It's interesting that you bring him up, because that was the person I recognized. And
there it is.
It was so Oleg was my father's favorite wrestler, and my father did not enjoy wrestling. It was not his thing. However, it was my thing. So every once in a while he would attempt to get involved in it with me. And King of Trios in 2015 was my first King of Trios, and before King of Trios happened, there was one of the Chikara shows at the Reading Phillies. And so Oleg was on the show, and my father had gone with me, and we were sitting in the front row, and my father was just enthralled by Oleg. Like, he had no idea what to expect from this wrestling show, but he saw Oleg, and like, that was it. My dad was like just obsessed with Oleg, thought it was the greatest thing. And a couple of years later, after my dad had passed, the first Chikara show I went to down in Philly, Oleg was there. And after the show, I got to talk to him a little bit. And I told him the story about my father. And I said, my father just recently passed, and he was never really into wrestling. But, when he saw you, like, you were just, that was it for him. You were his absolute favorite. He could not stop talking about it. Like, he loved you. And I thought Oleg was going to tear up and cry right there. Like, it was just, and he had some really kind words to say to me, and I since that time I've seen him at a number of indie shows and stuff, and he's always just been an amazing guy. Very, very respectful and thankful of everything that he's done, and especially the fans. You want to talk about fan interaction. He was just amazing. So I was really happy to see that he was involved in things there now.
Yeah, he's amazing, man. He really is. He's one of my favorites. We had the Midwest tour for Shikara. I believe that was tail end of 2015, and he was having a match. I forget the guy's gimmick name. He was one of the McBlasters, whatever.
Blaster.
It was
McMassive.
it was the black guy. What's his?
That's Blaster McMassive.
Blaster McMassive. Okay, yeah. He's in MLW right now, I believe.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so they have a match, and I forget. I think it was a chop or whatever. And I just told Oleg to reverse it and do it back to him, and it got this huge reaction. And it was the first time, like, even on the fly, that someone listened to me. And he comes back to life. He's like, "Thank you for that. That was like a really good suggestion." And I was like, "Yeah." I didn't think anything about it. Like, okay, it was just something I just told him to do on the fly, and just other things in that match that I communicated. And it was like the first wrestler that was like, "Wow, like, thank you. I appreciate you." And they just stuck with me. And that was one of the things we talked about tonight afterwards, and how much I appreciate him coming out Wednesday nights and helping me out. But yeah, his new gimmick name is Ralph Floyd, by the way. So no longer Oleg. It's Ralph Floyd, so I want to put that over.
I was very surprised when I finally, because I've been trying to find him.
This is Ultimo Ant. I've dropped off the call again. Don't worry, I'll be back soon.
Hey, we're back. Yeah, we're back.
Oh. You're back, yes.
Hey, we're here.
All right, fantastic. Good deal. So yeah, good to see that he's doing something, and getting involved again, and great to put over the new name Ralph Floyd.
Yes, yeah.
It's
growing on
Ralph
me.
For you, Ralph.
Well, yeah, that was a big part of it too. Like, yeah.
So, in going back to your ref seminars, why don't you tell the audience how they could be able to sign up for your class, and what do you expect from your potential referees?
Yeah, so you can email Quack. He handles the money side of it. I think it's LM Quackenbush. I forget. I think it's at gmail.com. And that was one of the notes I wanted to keep to the side, and I totally bombed at that. But if you follow me on social media, Ref Larry Peace, then I post periodically on there how people can sign up to be a ref at the Wrestle Factory and get trained by me. And then I don't know what the expectation is, but as we're building a structure and I'm having a vision moving forward, because this is all new to me, right? Learning as I go. But yeah, it's just show up and be ready to work and put in the work. I feel like people can learn something from me. If anybody's watched me ref over the years, you can know that I'm confident enough, and like I said, pretty good at this thing called pro wrestling refereeing, But yeah, just reach out to Mike Quackenbush, and we can get you set up, and we can get it going. Anybody is welcome, if you're a trained pro wrestler on Wednesday nights, to come out and have 5-minute practice matches. Anybody is welcome. That's free. I don't know why more people don't take us up on this. I don't know if because of the drive and stuff like that. And there's even referees out there. I'll put it out there now if anybody hears us. Any referee that's already trained can come out. It doesn't, if they want to get work in as well and 5-minute practice matches and they have a show coming up, come on out. I don't necessarily have to critique anybody, but you could be 1 year in, 6 months in, 5 years in, 10 years in. If you just want to come out and get some work in, come out and get work in. That's what this class is all about. And then, who knows? We both, could teach each other something, right? I don't know everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the big thing about it, is just always being willing to learn. Like every day you can learn something new. So that's a big thing. It's interesting that you guys are in Copley now.
Yes.
Is that how it's? Because look, my wife grew up in the area, let's just say, and I'm only about a little over 20 minutes away from there now. So we have arguments all the time about how you pronounce that, and she kills me when I say, like, oh, so we're gonna go through Copley today, and she's like, that's not right.
Nope, that is not right.
at all.
I'm sorry, I had to
not.
side with your wife. Yeah, it's Copley.
Oh,
Copley, PA.
She'll love to hear that you sided with her.
Sorry, Ralph.
It happens. I get it, but yeah, that's exciting stuff. Great opportunities there as well.
Yes, yeah, most definitely. And they have class, the pro wrestling workout on Thursdays. The core classes Sundays. They have class on Monday. So, there's multiple days that something's going on there. I don't know. I think, when you look at wrestling schools and you do the pricing, you hear vets and stuff like that in the business. You don't choose a wrestling school because it's the cheapest, right?
Yeah.
And, Shakara has produced a lot of talent that's currently still, there's talent in AEW and there's some talent still in WWE. And so, it's up there with like the Monster Factories, you know what I mean? When people say, hey, it's synonymous with that. Maybe like the Santino brothers, if I got that right. I think they're based out of California. So I think it's like, not to exclude anybody, but just the schools that have been around for a while, that keep on producing talent. So.
Yeah, I don't think, I don't think a lot of times people realize the wealth of knowledge that's available there, and just, for me, and I think this is the big selling point. And if anybody's listening out there, if you look at, and we had this conversation last, when we talked to Ultimo Ant as well. When you look at Chikara as a whole, and you look at the trainees that came out of the Wrestle Factory, and you put that up against other companies that have their own wrestling schools, and you look at their trainees, the Chikara trainees were miles ahead of everyone else. The talent, the wrestling, just the wherewithal in the ring, just to understand ring psychology and how to connect with a crowd, and all the pieces that come together that really come out of Mike Quackenbush and what he puts together in a training school. I don't think people realize just how much you're really getting out of that. So obviously cost is one thing, but you also get what you pay for. And when you look at something like the Wrestle Factory, I feel like just even talking about some of the bigger names that have come out of there, Claudio and things like Claudio's a perfect example. Just looking at what he's been able to do, and just what a pure talent he is. But it's a product of what he learned there.
Right. And Orange Cassidy as well.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken by that.
How can we forget Orange Cassidy?
Such a shout out to him. And I know there's a lot of mixed reactions about his gimmick, and he's awesome, man. And I'm not just saying that. Again, I'm not saying that just, and dropping these names just in hopes that I get an opportunity. This is me just being a 100, and keeping it real. It's just me, just guys. As time goes on, I just start telling people how I feel, right? And I haven't seen Orange since the Shakara days. A lot of guys I haven't seen since Shakara days, unfortunately. And when you get to level, I get it, right? You don't know who's real and who's not, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, I'm happy for you, right?
Yeah.
You just don't know. And then like probably the next, messages, hey, who do I send my stuff to? Who do I send
Yeah.
my, resume to, right? And it's just like, so, a lot of times I don't reach out, but yeah, if I ever see him again, it's going to be one of the things I just tell him that, I'm happy for him and he deserves it. And I love the gimmick. I think it fits him. I couldn't picture him being anything else. And it hurts me that some of the vets out there, and you guys can put the pieces together, how much they crap on him. And I love that vet to death, and he's always treated me good. But just how he just talks about Orange Cassidy is just ridiculous. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's just like, yeah, it's so stupid. But what are you gonna do? He's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. You just don't have to take it to the next notch. You know what I mean? It's like if you don't like someone, just say you don't like it, and if you think it's corny, then fine, just move on, right? Yeah, but my kid loves him. My kid loves Danhausen.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Great too.
it's guys with gimmicks, right? Like George Steel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
I fell in love with. I love the gimmick era of WWE. Maybe I don't have heat with Mantar, but maybe not Mantar. uh, but
Mantar.
but if he didn't wear that ridiculous that head he wore out, maybe it would have maybe he would have took off. That's I think what killed his world title push, right? Trying to be funny there, it didn't go well, but hey, it can't all be hits, right?
Yeah.
No,
Well.
but I like the gimmick era, and I know a lot of people don't, but it's what brings people in. Like Luchasaurus was one of my favorite ones, and
He's
and
great
now
too.
it's just I love him, but I just feel like the booking of him, man, and him with Christian just does not work for me. Personally, I love Christian by himself. I love Luchasaurus. I think they should have never broke Luchasaurus and Jack Perry up. That's just my opinion. Like I don't know, you had something there. Yeah, I agree. And they had like a short run with the AEW title. Am I correct?
Yeah, they were.
It was like super short.
Yeah, it was really short, but yeah, they had a run with it.
Yeah,
For
like
a
I don't
very
know.
short time.
And I get it. Someone's gonna listen to this and like, oh, he's one of the four pillars, right? Of AEW. And I get that. I get that. But it doesn't mean that he couldn't still be one of the four pillars. I'm just saying they were just great together. And even Marco in that was entertaining, right? But
they were a great trio for sure.
yeah. But again, what do I know, right?
Well,
you know a lot more than us.
Well, yeah, it's interesting what you bring up about Orange Cassidy and the gimmick, because if people really got a chance to see him go, and like we know what that looks like, they would understand like how much he has to dial it back, how much he has to dial back the talent level to do what he does now. Because I mean, he's an incredible wrestler.
He's so good.
He really is.
He really is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree with you 100%. Oh, yeah.
During the last media scrum for the last pay-per-view, one of the news reporters asked Orange Cassidy if he thinks he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He straight up just said, "Nope, not at all." I thought that was the greatest answer I've ever heard. You were just honest. Like you were like, "Nope, not even close."
That's funny. I wish I would have saw that. I actually just started watching AEW again. I watched Collision, the debut of Collision, and I just DVR'd and finished watching it today. Dynamite. I thought Dynamite was good. Like I was like, wow, if it was like this every week, maybe I tuned in every week. So Forbidden Door got me hooked. A friend of mine invited me over for Forbidden Door. Shell out $10-15.
Nice.
And enjoy it. And yeah, hopefully it's a good pay-per-view. I'm not a real big New Japan fan. I don't want to get like beat over the head or anything with the Wrestling Bible, but but there's intriguing matchups. So we'll see what happens. I'm actually looking forward to it because of how they produced Dynamite on Wednesday. So I'll give it a try.
So, do you just watch AW now, or do you kind of just watch everything? Like, who do you
Yeah,
like to watch the most?
that's funny because I just started watching NXT again.
There you
Uh,
go.
yeah. And I always thought even like 5 years ago, I thought like when they had all the super indie guys, right? I thought like their pay-per-views were better than their weekly television show, even back then. Their
Yeah,
payper-views were like, you had
who are some of the best
FTR,
stuff
the
you've seen?
Revival.
Yeah,
Yeah, like guys were just out there working. And the pay-per-views are amazing. And so hopefully they can get back to that.
I think they're
But
getting
yeah,
there.
I agree. I think so too. And I really enjoy some aspects of NXT on Tuesday. So yeah, I don't know. I think just watching it without, just watching as a fan, like you never saw it before, and just I think helps, right? Like we get so
Yeah,
jaded, and it's like, oh, yeah, they didn't do that. But I just watched it as a fan, and it's just nice. And I watch it with other fans,
Yeah.
like my buddy who's in the business too. He trains at the Wrestle Factory. A group of his friends came. They had like 40 people that came out or whatever to the first student show that he was on, and he wrestled Quack, and he had a pretty good match with Quack, and I got the referee the match.
nice.
And after the show, his friends just loved me, so they invited me to WrestleMania, this past WrestleMania. And yeah, it was just kind of cool just watching it with fans who
Hmm.
aren't
Yeah,
jaded, right?
yeah.
And yeah, and that helps. So I don't know how much I'll watch of wrestling moving forward. I can't watch Raw. It's just not. It's too long.
Yeah, 3 hours
Uh,
Yeah.
is still to
If
me
I
it's
didn't
too
have
hard.
long.
the DVR, I couldn't make it through some of these shows because they're just, yeah, it's
Yeah.
when you look at the amount of wrestling that's available every week, it is a lot.
Mhm.
And to try and, to try and fill 3 hours is just, an unbelievable task. And to keep people, entertained and engaged for 3 hours, it's a
Mhm.
Yeah,
lot.
it's a lot of work to do that for
Yeah, I
sure.
agree. Yeah,
Crazy.
it's tough. I'm glad I don't have that job. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
figuring all that out, and man, but yeah, I think if Raw went to 2 hours, man, that might be a really intriguing show with the talent they have there. But
Yeah, I
Mhm.
I
feel
don't
like that
think
would be
that's
the
ever
best
going to
bet.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So when you watch wrestling, do you find that it's hard to turn off your wrestling brain and just be a fan, or is that something that's not really that complicated for you to do?
sometimes it is. I have to like. It's so weird, and it's probably going to come off so stupid, but I have to prep myself before I watch anything. Like, just go into it's like I do like a self-talk thing.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, and it's just like go in this. You're gonna enjoy this. Don't watch us with your wrestling goggles. Like,
Yeah.
just remove yourself. Like, just watch it as a fan, right? And try to enjoy it. And I think that helps when I do that. But yeah, I used to be so critical of it. I used to get pissed, and I'm like, why? Like, if I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, and if there's an episode I don't like, I just don't watch it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like now in the
Yeah,
archives that we have, there's episodes I don't like, so I just won't watch that episode, or I'll watch it, but I might play around on my phone until it's over or whatever. But I won't go online and cry and scream and yell and it's like,
Right.
man,
Right.
this was the crappiest Seinfeld episode ever. Jerry Seinfeld sucks. Um, like he should be fired from his own show. You know,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I try to go into like that, and if I do that, and I have my pep talk with myself, it's gonna
Mm.
make me sound crazy, I know, but you have to do whatever you can. But yeah, and it usually works. Like I just started watching 1990 Royal Rumble.
oh
I wanted
wow.
to, yeah, I wanted to watch it for I think it was Ron Garvin and Valentine match. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. Oh, so
Mhm.
good.
And I haven't gotten there yet because I started watching it at work, like people are going to hear this, like, what do you mean? I have a lot of downtime with what I do. So yeah, I have a lot of downtime what I do. I get paid just to, I can watch, WWF, old school WWF. But yeah, so I haven't gotten to that match yet. I want to get to it, but I had a busy week so far. But I definitely want to watch that because I don't remember it. And I'm like, okay, this is, on some people's top 10 list, right?
Yeah, that is a great match.
Yeah. So I can't wait to watch it over again. It's probably so old school too. I remember bits and parts of it, and I've seen clips here and there. But like Ronnie Garvin, just the stomp that he would do to the body parts, to the limbs.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. That
People
was so great.
sleep on him. Like people
Mm-hmm.
don't realize how good he was. And I think part of it is because when he came to the ring, he had that tiny little hotel towel. Like it was way too short to be like wrapped around anything. I never understood that, but I think a lot of people sleep on him. He's really good.
Yeah, he definitely got slept on like a Serta mattress, my friend. There's that little wordplay there. But yeah, no, such a shame. Yeah, he was so good. So.
Yeah. I want to step away from the ring for just a second, and
Mhm.
Ralph mentioned this to me off air, and it got me really excited. I, am a huge collector of all things. I collect Power Ranger stuff, wrestling stuff, you name it. I start collecting it. I just started adding belts to my collection because I'm a belt collector now. I want to hear about Ref Larry's wrestling collectibles, and if you have a piece that's like your prized possession,
Mhm.
and
So
I just want to hear about your set of stuff.
Yeah, so Ref Larry's Wrestling Collectibles is my business, collectibles business. If I can talk about that just briefly.
No, please.
Please do. Tell us all about it.
So I've been selling inside Mother Tucker's Antiques and Collectibles. It's in Ephrata, PA, where I reside now, about 20 to 30 minutes from Lancaster, PA, where I grew up. But I've been selling there, I think 4 years now, a little over 4 years. And I have like a big booth and I have a trophy case. I get an amazing deal because I run their Facebook page for them. And it's been great. Eventually I want to turn it into my own shop at some point, but still sell out of there. I can't leave where, I started, right? They gave me the opportunity. The owner was like super like, yeah, we need this in here. Like, this is the stuff I want, And so I primarily just do deal with wrestling items there. Occasionally I'll get other things like huge Jurassic Park fan. And I kick myself in the butt because I traded all that stuff like over a year ago. I had the compound. I mean, everything was complete. I had the box. I mean, yeah. It was like opening it up back then, right? When you first got it. I had some of the dinosaurs on the card. But I traded it for wrestling stuff that I really wanted. So, it is what it is. You talk about collecting different things. I used to collect Mask. I don't know if anybody knows. It's Mask, M.A.S.K. I forget what it stands for. I was a kid, and I remember I had these figures, and I go into this antique shop one time, and I asked the owner, I was like, hey, what's this stuff called? And they're like, Mask. And it was a cartoon that ran, I think, 2 years back in the 80s. And
I'm not sure about that one.
yeah.
Ralph might know that one more than me.
Yeah. So is that something that you and Quack talk about? Because
no,
he's a huge Mask fan, and I believe he was wasn't he like campaigning online to write a comic book or something about Mask for them because they were doing like some sort of revival. Yeah, he's a big Mask fan.
Wow, I did not know that. Man,
Yeah,
I've been
bring that
rock.
up to him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I will.
He's a huge Mask fan.
Man, and again, I traded all that stuff off too for other wrestling stuff that I really wanted.
Yeah.
And I regret trading all that off now because I had a lot of Mask stuff. Nothing on the card, but I did have one item. It was already open, but I did have the box for it. I forget what vehicle it was, but but yeah, so yeah, selling in Mother Tucker's Antiques and Collectibles, Ref Larry's Wrestling Collectibles is in there. Um, and my personal collection, there for a while, I was thinning stuff out. Like I used to have a huge Hasbro collection.
Wow.
And those are the figures from the 90s, the
Yep.
4-inch plastic figures that were made by Hasbro. Now you see the retro version of Mattel coming back. You have all these other third parties like Zombie Sailor. I think Hassel Toys now is in on the mix. And there's a couple other ones. I can't remember off the top of my head. Cella Toys, but I don't think they're Cella anymore. But yeah, bringing back the Hasbro into the, calling them retro style. And so I still have a couple pieces. Like one of my prized possessions is a mock Papa Shango Hasbro.
Ooh.
Very
And
cool.
I have it
Very cool.
signed. I have it signed, and it's signed 3 ways. It's signed Charles Wright, aka Papa Shango, aka Godfather.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, thank you. And it's beautiful. You think you went into Toys R Us yesterday, and I picked it right off the peg.
Nice.
And I won that for
That's great.
$2 in a raffle. Yeah, I won it in a raffle. Like I spent $2 and I won it. Yeah, it's like the best raffle win ever.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there like
But
a holy
some of the other
grail
things in
of
my
merch that you would like to
collection.
add?
I'm sorry. Some of my other items I like I have Typhoon Hasbro, and again, Mr. Fred Ottman signed it 3 ways for me. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's too
I
cool.
got the LJN white shirt that after asking around, a lot of people think that was made after Earl. The white shirt LJN. I don't know, but I got him to. I got a case for it because it's not mock. Which, if your listener is wondering what mock means, it's mint on card. But I got this perfect case from Random Treasures. They're based out of Maryland, another toy shop. They sell these like plastic cases, and it just fits in there perfectly. And he penned it for me. I think like 2 years ago now when I met him at Bud Carson's autograph signing that he does in Allentown every so often. But yeah, so that's another prized possession. I like my Nyla Rose, I think it's one of 5,000 AEW figure. It's not signed yet. So speaking that into existence. So yeah, hopefully I can get that signed. Yeah.
I'm sure
I'll
you
gladly
will.
I'll pay.
That's really cool. Yeah.
I'll pay to have it signed. I don't need any, brother discounts or anything. So
That's super cool. So is there something that you're really looking to add to your collection? Is there one thing like you haven't been able to get that you really, really wanted?
anything obscure is what I'm collecting now. I don't really collect a lot of figures anymore. Obscure, like I have a toothbrush still on the card of The Rock.
Oh wow.
It's like weird, right?
Yeah.
There's no value to it. Like it really is. Like you would think it would have some value, but it's not a very expensive piece. But it's just a cool piece, and I like stuff like that. That's weird. It's obscure. Like I have the squirt heads, but it's the water gun. Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Those are awesome. And again, just something that doesn't have a lot of value to. At least I got super lucky with them. But yeah, I like those, like things like that. So if anybody has any obscure things they want to trade or whatever, barter for, I actually I'm looking at right now because walking around here as I talk, I can't sit still. AWA Wrestling Heavyweight Champion belt, kids belt. I have that.
That's
cool.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to take pictures and send it to you, Ralph.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I get a minute. Yeah, and you can check it out. The other thing is the
cool.
one strap is broke on it, so I would like to add a better one that's in better shape, but it's going to cost a pretty penny, unfortunately, But yeah. After all this, I'll get endorsement deals. People will hear this. They'll be like, "Oh, this guy's so awesome. He's articulate. Keeping the peace. So
of course, keep the peace always." You mentioned obscure. I feel like that's how I've been with my belts. Obscure. when I was doing my belts, I made sure that they weren't belts that everybody has, because I know a lot of friends that do collect belts and they just want all of them. I just want the ones that are rare or defunct, that don't exist anymore.
I like belts. I haven't collected any yet. When I bought a collection, I came across this Bullet Club belt, and
Oh,
I wish I would have kept it. I wish I wouldn't have sold it. And I wish I would have got like Adam Cole to sign it.
that would be
Yeah, that would have been really cool. But yeah, I think if I would ever own a belt, it would probably be, the 10 pounds of gold.
that's a classic. That's a
Yeah,
classic.
and
Yeah,
the other one would be the Winged Eagle.
Yep,
So,
that's always been my
the
favorite.
belt.
yeah,
Yeah,
same here.
that
Yeah.
That's the belt, man.
for the longest time, my holy grail, I had lost at the last second an eBay auction for a Stone Cold Steve Austin cookie jar. And it was my holy grail of all time. And a cousin of mine heard about it, and I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive he found the guy who beat me in the auction.
Oh,
And
jeez.
he purchased it from him and had the guy ship it to me. So the one day I get this box in the mail, and I don't recognize the address, I don't recognize the name or anything, and there's a card with it. So I open the card, and it's like, hey Ralph, I heard you've been looking for this, I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. And I open it up, and it's the Stone Cold Steve Austin cookie jar, and I have no idea how it got to me. My cousin didn't say anything. Like, so I'm standing there with this thing, and like for 3 or 4 days now, I didn't even take it out of the box yet, because I'm just like, how did this thing get here? And so eventually, I started calling family members. I'm like, do you know this guy? Like, I'm giving the guy's name, and nobody's answering. And so finally, I figured it out, and it was quite the moment. But that was my holy grail for a long time.
It's funny because I own one of those as well, and I have another one coming.
No
So,
kidding.
yeah,
Oh,
Huh.
there you go.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely one of my my
Man,
prized
that is,
pieces there.
Yeah, my prize piece is, I'm not sure if you're on video and you could see it, but it's the belt behind me. I went on the Jericho cruise last year and had everybody sign the belt back there that I could possibly meet, and it's covered in signatures from head to toe. That thing will never be sold, never be auctioned. That's staying with me until it goes to the grave. That's like my prized
yes.
possession. That's
Yep.
going with me to the end of time.
That's really cool. So, what are some of more recently? What are some of the wrestling companies that you've really enjoyed working with? In more recent times.
Yeah, so Three Legacies Wrestling, based out of Lancaster, PA. It's owned and operated by former WWE superstar Ricardo Rodriguez,
There you go.
Jesus Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
And really enjoy that, man. That locker room is amazing. A lot of respect there. The fans treat me like the Shikara fans, man. They love me there. I don't know why. Maybe because of some of the stuff you say. I stay out there. When fans are coming in, I talk to the kids. I'm a father of two. Yeah, man, it's been awesome experience there. I got a little fan that comes dressed like me now to shows,
That's really cool.
which is, yeah, like that's like so awesome. And his mom's been so great. And, yeah, man, it makes it worth it when you're not having a great week and, made a difference in someone's life. They enjoyed the show because of me, and I'm just a referee. Like, wow, that's amazing to me. SWO is another one. I don't work for them as much, but maybe that'll change. Susquehanna Wrestling Organization is the name of them. They have a good locker room there too. Some really good young wrestlers there that are hungry. That hopefully a spotlight can be shined on that. And then the Wrestle Factory, we do the student shows. They're a little hush hush. It's more just the students, and like I could invite people, and I think it's like $10 a ticket. And so outside of all that, that's all I do. there was a show I was supposed to be a part of this Saturday, and I just want to give them a shout out. It's Central PA Slam Fest, and they run a show once a year at the Rusty Rail Brewing Company. I'm not able to make it now because of family obligations and issues there, but go and support it. It's, I think, a 3:00 show at the Rusty Rail Brewing Company. It's in Mifflinburg, PA. I believe Keaton Ellis from Penn State's going to be there. Penn State football player Keaton Ellis. South Philly Finest is on the show. If you've never seen them tag team up, go see them. They're great.
Those guys are amazing.
Yeah.
We have a local promotion. Well, they're local now to me, but they run out of the Slatington Farmers Market in Slatington, PA. PPW out of Hazleton, and South Philly's Finest are always on their shows, and let me tell you, they are an absolute treat. Not only are they talented in the ring, but those are real characters. Those guys are phenomenal.
Yeah, those are my guys, man. And Jimmy Conway. I remember we were in Three Legacies locker room, and I hit all my marks and everything I was supposed to do in that match. And Jimmy just sits there, and Jesus is there. And he's like, man, Larry's the effing man. Like, you're so good. And I was just like, oh, yeah. Like, maybe this will get me booked on every show, right? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, it's just, I don't have a lot of that over the years, man. Like, what do guys really think about me? And when you get that, it's great, because I always feel like I'm the Rodney Dangerfield of indie refs. Like, no respect, right? If there was something that was brought up about the PWI, and if there was a PWI 50 or whatever for referees, I said, yeah, I'd probably be like 100 on that list, or not even make it, right? I'd be 500. And so, and I'm half joking, but it's like, man, what does this guy have to do out here, but yeah, man, just little moments like that and being appreciated. But those are the companies that I work for. Like I said, man, I have a soon-to-be 12-year-old. My oldest is 19, but I miss a lot for the 19-year-old. So I just don't take a lot of bookings nowadays, man. And it's nothing against anybody. It's just I'd rather play Mario Kart and sit on my, sofa and watch, play Mario Kart or watch The Office with him. And because he's like a huge Office fan. I know. 12-year-old watching The Office, right? Such a Dad of the Year award here. But
no, that's worthy of it.
Well, thank you.
You're preparing him for the working world.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly how the working world
100%.
is. 100%.
Yes.
So I'm curious, if you were to book a fantasy match or a dream match, who or where would you want to referee a match?
Oh, wow. And that goes for anything? Oh,
anything.
Man.
Yeah, anything you want.
Anything you want. It's your call.
Well, I will say this. The first thing that comes to mind is I wouldn't mind running this match back. It was a match when I was in MLW briefly. It was a match with Low Key and was it Davey Boy Smith Jr., Harry Smith. And it was like I think it was like 2020. Yeah, it would have been 2020. We taped it in 2020. I believe it aired a couple weeks later. Started in 2020 into 2021, but they were in, I think, the opening round match of the Opera Cup that they do, like their version of the Super 8 tournament, right?
Right.
And there was history there too, I think, from the previous one. But I felt like all three of us just did a remarkable job. And so I wouldn't mind running that back if we can at some point. Low Key wants to do it out of the state. I don't know. if anybody's going to pay me, a promoter's going to pay me to go out of the country. But hey, I guess you never say never, right?
Yep, that's what they always say. Never say never, right?
No, yeah. I work it out and get my own promoter's license and finally run a show at some point. I wouldn't mind having that on my event, But man, just anybody or anything. I don't know. That's
your dream match, man. It's your fantasy, so you can go wherever you want to go.
Obviously, if I could have worked with Hogan, right? Like he was,
I mean, of course.
Childhood hero. I did get to work with Georgie Animal Steel, and that was just awesome. So meet your wrestling heroes, people, because they're not all, douchebags. Coming out to say that.
Sure, why not?
But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. That's a good question. That's a really good question. So I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm sorry. I'm not
No,
really
you're
answering
fine.
it.
You're
That's
good.
just tough.
We'll give you some time to think about it, and the next
Okay.
time you come on, you can
Give us your answer. Yeah.
give us a good answer.
Okay,
I'm sure
I will.
you'll think of something. Oh man. Well, if you ever did work outside of the country, you could call yourself the international peacekeeper.
There you go. That's even better.
I like it.
Perfect.
Got a nice
that's
ring
awesome.
to it.
That's
Yeah.
great.
International peacekeeper. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
International peacekeeper, Larry Peace.
Yeah.
I said if we ever ran back a heel ref gimmick again, because I've done that 3 times in my 26-year journey. I would like to be called Larry Disturbing the Peace.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are literally just printing money over there.
Yeah,
That's
just say
great.
it.
I wish.
Man. All the names.
Oh, that's great. I could not imagine you as a heel ref, though.
Yeah, I don't know if I
I
can
just
see
can't
that.
see it.
I can do it, and I've been stepping in the ring on Wednesday nights, and I work a 90s heel style, and
Oh, okay.
man, like even
Wow.
Oleg was saying like, wow, and first match I get in there,
that's great.
we lock up, a kick, and then forearms to the back, and then it goes to the ropes. My opponent goes to the ropes, and I just give him a punch, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, how's a ref punching better than the students? Like, how's this?" And Danny Rowe, who helps train up there at the Wrestle Factory, he just said like, who did you watch? Because that's like huge, right? And I said, some of it's The Rock, but like the big boss man, like, like he had a really good punch. And so you definitely could tell, like, if you watch a lot of wrestling growing up, and it's not something I practiced. So for them to tell me that my punches were like up there, my kicks and stuff like that, and man, I'm a really good
Very
heel,
cool
man.
stuff.
Hopefully,
That's
one of these
exciting to hear
student
you're getting a
shows,
little,
Mike allows it.
experience at the
I can
other
feel what I
side
can
of
do.
things inside the ropes there.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens. You never know. But yeah, I think it really helped the students coming out too, because like if you don't have like the stamp of approval of WWE, and I've never been there, and I've never been in AW, I wasn't in the TNA, and you don't have that stamp of approval, people are just, I think, they don't know who you are, right? And so it just proved that I could put a match together, and I know what I'm talking about, and I was pretty good at it, right? Like, not to be not humble or anything or be braggadocious, but I take this very serious. And so, I just wish more promoters knew my range, and the things that I could, offer to a
That's
show.
awesome.
Because maybe if they
Well,
saw it, they would see like,
I
wow,
gotta
yeah,
say,
he's right. Like, I mean, this is
when
not
I
him
decided
bragging
to,
or being cocky.
put this
Is
podcast
okay, yeah,
together, and
all
I
right,
started looking
yeah.
at,
So
who I wanted to get on here as far as guests go to, kind of get this thing really started. You absolutely made the short list. So, I mean, it's been a pleasure getting to catch up with you for a little while today. I'm so thankful you were able to make some time with us and kind of join us here on the podcast. It's been, like I said, just a pleasure getting to hear about all the great stuff you're doing, all the great stuff you're doing to pay it forward future generations of referees and wrestlers in the indie business, because the indies are really the lifeblood of everything that we watch on TV. If people didn't have the indies,
100%.
people wouldn't get that foundation that they need to really make the bigger promotions great. So it's amazing to hear what you're doing, and we just want to wish you the best of luck in everything. Again, just great being able to spend some time with you and catch up again.
Number 2.
That is correct.
Numero
Yes.
dos. Numero dos, man.
I appreciate it, and I was guest number 2, like 2,
Yeah,
right?
we
Like
will
2.
be
I
all
had to
right.
get that in
I'm
there.
pretty sure
You
people
know,
will
yes,
enjoy this
man, that's
episode.
awesome.
I think we'll
Like,
be
man.
No
okay.
doubt.
So hopefully,
Before
after this
we
episode, the numbers won't tank, and you guys will be able to do a third episode. And yeah,
Oh, please.
Please
so
do.
I was just gonna ask if you could tell the viewers what the future holds for Mr. Larry keeping the peace.
I hope so. If I can just real quick, just plug the upcoming shows that I'm on, events that people can see me. If I can just, yeah. Oh, yeah. So July 14th, Three Legacies Wrestling, Brightside Opportunity Center. Go on the Eventbrite
course.
/ Three Legacies Wrestling. Find it. Three Legacies Wrestling on social media. And then they have another event. I always say show. I like to say
There you
wrestling
go.
event. It makes it sound
Of
bigger,
course.
right? I don't know. Blue Meanie likes hearing that too. So hopefully that's a shout out to him. So I'm just shouting out people. Come on now. Hopefully I can get on his show at some time too. But if not, I know I got my buddies over here. You know what I mean? Come on anytime. And so August 19th for Three Legacies is their like Super Bowl of shows. It's at the Clipper Magazine Stadium, which is the home of the Lancaster Barnstormers.
Yep.
And that's August 19th. They got Rhino, they got
And
Fandango
more.
or Dirty Dango that
Wow.
he's called now.
I haven't heard that name in a hot minute.
Heath Slater, used to be Heath Slater in the WWE. Yeah, is this
That's a
Heath
great
now?
idea,
Okay.
because I got a
And
wrestling figure to get
then
signed by him too.
Shannon Moore's going to be on there too.
Think
So
about
that's
it.
the guest so far.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Shannon Moore is
That's
going to
gonna
be there too.
That's
Yeah,
gonna be a big show. I've been seeing some
I
stuff
got a wrestling
online
figure
about
that
that,
I'm
and that's gonna
hoping
be
to get
a
signed that day
big
by
show for
him.
them.
So we'll see. Hey, there you go. Come to the show August 19th. Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait
Right.
to they I'm sure there's more names, right? Like who is it going to be this year? Last year they had Rob Van Dam and Alberto Del Rio. So I'm like, who's that other name, right? That's going to be on the marquee. And Rhino and Heath and Dirty Dango, those guys are great. Shannon Moore I never met, so this will be the first time that I'll meet him. Yeah, Santino was on that show last year too. I worked with him in a tag match, and he was just a hoot and awesome. And we got the banter back and forth, which I thought was cool, and we didn't go over any of it. So thought it was just a fun show last year. This would be Three Legacies. The Red Rose Rumble is what they're calling it. It's the first annual Red Rose Rumble event that they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
I
going
told
to be
you,
produced
I'm
by Three
25 minutes
Legacies.
away. Yeah.
And so
I
yeah,
will make the drive.
and then outside of that,
I will make the drive.
I don't know. I can't really talk about the student show, so I can't promote that.
Gotcha.
But I will give you guys information if you want to come by for that. And because you're in the area, yeah. And so I can give you guys information off the podcast, off the air. But yeah, outside of that, like I said, I was supposed to be with the PA Slam Fest, Central PA Slam Fest, but I had to back out of that. I feel bad. But Vince Evans is awesome. Used to be Vince Goodnight on the Indies. He was understandable. I gave him 2 names as my replacement, so hopefully one of those 2 can step up and do a great job Saturday, and it works out. But yeah, I think it's Slam Tickets, Tix, TIX com. So that's this Saturday at the Rusty Rail Brewing Company. Again, I won't be there, unfortunately, but go support indie wrestling, right? It's a fun outdoor event. This is the third annual one. And outside of that, I don't know. Maybe SWO will call by then. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm at the point now, like, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but I have my booking fee in mind, and Elliot's not a super big wrestling fan, my 12-year-old, and so if I don't drag him too much if I can help it. So, but he does love Bro Keller, so I had to shout out Bro Keller as well. He loves Bro Keller. But anyway, I'll stop talking. I don't want to put anybody to sleep. Plugging everything, but on social media, just Ref Larry, WC for the wrestling collectibles across all social medias. Referee Larry Peace, Peace, the cool way of spelling it. Don't spell it with an I. Thank you. And just find me, Larry Peace Jr. on Facebook. What the heck? I accept everybody and anybody through that account. So nobody listens,
Sure.
Ralph. No one listens when you say, "Hey, I got a referee page." Everybody just migrates to the personal account, and
let's
that's
make
fine.
that our goal.
I stopped telling
on
anybody,
that.
"Hey, let's build that up to 5,000
get you a pro wrestling
right?
tees.
Whatever
So
the cutoff is now." So
that's
hey,
goal.
trying to get a pro wrestling tees, store here soon. Come on, help a brother out.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
And I have ideas.
We'll do what we can to help
some
you
really
get
cool
there.
ideas. So I'll have to shoot you the picture.
Sure.
I have a graphic made
Well,
that I want to put on a shirt. I think it's super cool.
It's been another
but I'll get your
fantastic
take on it.
episode.
I think you're gonna like it. But I just have to
gotta
build up
thank
my
friend of
fan
the show
following.
here, Larry,
build it up.
keeping the peace. Referee extraordinaire for joining us. Again,
I appreciate you guys.
Always great catching up with you, and we will talk to you guys again next week.
Yeah, Ralph, where can they find you at?
Me? Oh, listen, I'm everywhere that you can find me. I'm everywhere that you can't find me. I just show up at places. But if you're looking for me online, I'm at Real Ralph 316, pretty much across all socials. So please take the time to hit me up. I love to hear from people. Love to accept friend requests from fans. So please hit me up with show ideas, whatever you want to talk about wrestling wise. I'm here. And Sean, where can people find you? Because you gave away the secret last week.
I know I did. Last week was the big secret. That way people can actually find me. I am at Parmachizo on all my socials. And again, I'll say it one more time. It's CheeZle for those who cannot figure out the last half of that social. I gave them 7 episodes of not telling them how to spell it because I figured they would eventually figure it out, right? But, I'll help where I can.
Sure, there you go. And of course, we're across all socials at Mancast Network. That is our podcasting network. And keep an eye on our socials. We've kind of outgrown our Mancast Network capabilities, so we will be getting some socials up for Opinion City very soon. That are just ours.
Flying away.
Yeah, so keep an eye out on that. And guys, have a great week. Enjoy wrestling, and we'll talk to you all soon.
We'll see you next time.
Later. Peace.
This is Ultimo Ann here. You're listening to Opinion City Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.